Hi, this is Alex from PHP Academy, and this is another video tutorial for the new Boston. Now, we're going to be looking at PHP cookies. Now, you've probably heard of cookies before, maybe if you've looked at your browser settings. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows what cookies are, but how do we actually use them, and how useful are they in everyday programming, sort of on websites? Now, let me just explain quickly what a cookie is. A cookie is a piece of data, if you like, or a file that's stored with specific information, and it's unique to you and the website that you are viewing. So if you view on your browser a website that's set a specific cookie, when you access that website, depending on the expiration time of the cookie, that piece of data will be relayed. So it will be relayed from your computer to the website. So this way, websites can store data about users or about your specific preferences on that website, and it can be stored on your computer for later access. So how do we go about setting a cookie, and why are they useful? Now, some of the reasons that they can be useful for is just literally storing data that needs to be used at a later date, but for a long expiration time. You might have already looked at PHP sessions, but cookies are going to allow you to set a much longer expiration date. So sessions are closed as soon as your browser is closed and the connection is shut with the server. However, with cookies, we could store a cookie for years, perhaps. So to set a cookie, we use the set cookie function. And this takes a few arguments. I'm not going to go through every argument, but I'm going to go through three main arguments. And the three main arguments we're going to look at are, first of all, the name of the cookie that you're setting, then the value, and then the expiration date, so the time in which the cookie is going to be valid for. Now, remember when we looked at sessions, if you have looked at sessions, you did something similar to this. We had the name of the session here, and then the value here. Or rather, this is going to be called the key and the value. Now, with set cookies, we just use this one function to set the cookie. The name of it's here, so I could say username. Here's going to be the value, so I'm going to say Alex. Now, the expiration time is a bit different. You need to think about this logically, and it's by default in seconds. So if, for example, I was to set a session cookie with the value of 60 here as an argument, that's going to make this cookie last for 60 seconds. And after that, it's no longer going to be valid. So we can test this. I'm going to create a session cookie with the value of 5. Now, what happens when I want to, we've set this in this page, so if we come and refresh, that should be okay. Okay, so we've set the cookie in this page. Now what happens when we want to retrieve this value in view? Now, within 5 seconds this would have already expired, so we're going to have to reset it in a minute. All we do is we say echo, and then what we do is we use $_cookie, so much like session, and then the name of the cookie, so this is username in this case, so username, and that's basically it. We haven't had to declare anything anywhere or set, well, we have, but we haven't had to set anything anywhere, the same that we did with sessions, with session, spell it right, with session start. So these are a lot more freely used on your page. We also don't need to kill well, we do need to kill a cookie at some point, but this is done in a slightly different way to sessions. So we're echoing cookie username. Now, at the moment, we shouldn't receive a value because the cookie does not exist, because the expiration time is 5 seconds. So if I go back to set again, here, so in this page we can reset, or refresh rather, and then what we can do is, before the 5 seconds are over, we can quickly come back to view. Oh no, maybe let's just change that to 10. Set.php, so that's hopefully set the cookie, and now into view.php. Okay, and it's not working, so let's think why that could be. Right, okay, so yeah, okay, so I've forgotten sort of a vital part of this, and the point is that what we do is we in fact set a timestamp here, and timestamps in PHP are basically they're an amount of seconds from a specific date. I can't remember what the date is. I think it's somewhere in 1990. but there is another video on that, so you can go and reference to that if you want. So what we would do is to access a timestamp, originally we would use time equals timestamp, whereas time now is just a variable that I've set. Oh no, sorry, we would do time. So we'd use the time function to grab a timestamp. Let's just have a look at that, so so you can see what we're looking at. That's in set. So echo that out. Okay, so we have our timestamp here, which is a long number. Now what we do is when we set a cookie, we set it from the current time, so we can use this function within this function here, but then we add on the amount of seconds we want for it to expire. So then what can happen is we can do a check. It will automatically do it for us, but it will check against the timestamp plus 10. So it will check 10 seconds from now. So apologies for getting that wrong before, but it's just one minor thing I forgot. So let's test this out again. So so we've got set.php. Let's refresh. Now the cookie has been set. We come into view.php and you can see that it's been set. Now as I'm talking to you, eventually the cookie is going to expire because the timestamp is going to be less than the current date. So if I refresh again, I think that should go. Yeah. So now our cookie has expired. So you can understand now the use of this for login systems where you say, you know, you might log your user in default by an hour, but you might have a check box to say, keep me logged in for, you know, keep me logged in or something, and then that would keep the user logged in for maybe a month, 2 months. You could set it up to sort of a period of a year if you wanted to say constantly keep them logged in. So that's basically how cookies are useful. But remember, the cookies are stored on the user's computer, so they're dangerous to use for things like sensitive data that you don't want the user to be able to change. For example, if you were to have a shopping cart and you had the total set in a cookie, you don't necessarily want this unless you're using some form of encryption or some other way to or some database usage to store this where the user can't make the change. So this is how we do it, and that's basically sessions or cookies in PHP.